Welcome to the Ohio Farm Bureau podcast. I'm Ty Higgins. I think by this point of the year, we've seen about 3 fake springs in Ohio, but things are looking to warm up. To talk about some things to think about as we get warmer weather is Ryan Towns. He's Assistant Director of the Public Employment Risk Reduction Program with the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Ryan, great to see you. And as you can see, I got the short sleeves on. I'm ready for spring.
Hey, I got the long sleeves on, but I'm looking forward to transitioning into the short sleeves and hopefully some shorts here in the near future, but keeping those winter coats in the closet.
You never know here in Ohio, do you?
Never know.
So spring is officially here. From a safety perspective, what should people be thinking about this time of year?
Well, hopefully good weather that will provide a great growing season. But with the good weather comes property maintenance, which includes getting the mowing equipment out for the first time this year. Whether you're a seasoned pro or newer to mowing, we always recommend people take a little time to refresh their memory on how to safely operate and familiarize themselves with that equipment and the areas to be mowed.
You know, for some people, it's, getting the mower out of the shed, just hopping on and going. But what should people be thinking about before they even get to that step?
Well, it always starts with making sure you're properly trained. Make sure you understand the machinery's functions, the limitations, and that you're performing walkarounds to identify any defects that can pose a hazard. The operator's manual is really where all that stuff can be found, and it's a great source of information to make sure that you're safe. Another big thing is a good majority of the incidents that we see in Ohio can also be attributed to not being familiar with the locations that are being mowed. It's really important to do a site survey of the area so you can identify any hazards such as steep slopes or drop offs near drainage ditches, and then plan accordingly. That might mean using a push mower or a string trimmer for those areas, or possibly landscaping to create a buffer zone between the site to be mowed and that hazard.
You mentioned the importance of training. What does that look like? And are there resources out there from BWC that can help facilitate that?
Yeah, definitely. We actually recently created a series of 7 training videos on different mowing safety topics, such as operator training, mowing on slopes, rollover protective structures, performing site surveys, mowing near drop offs and embankments, noise hazards, which is a huge thing. Make sure you wear your hearing protection, and then an overview of equipment guarding. Each video is about 90 seconds long, so not super long, but it provides a great awareness of those topics and can showcase some of those best practices. Where you can find them at is on the BWC's YouTube page, and then they're under the mower safety playlist. So you just go right to that and you can play through. You get to see me, which is always a plus, Ty.
So you get to that point where you're ready to hop on the mower and go. What are some safety precautions we need to take once we get to that step?
Sure. A lot of operators think that the mowing blades are the main hazard, and rightfully so. They can cause serious injury and need to be properly guarded. But there are also a few items to think about, whether it be the pulley system on the deck or anything near the engine that could get people caught in, and especially the power takeoff shaft, the PTO that's spinning any of your attachments that you might have on your mower. Stepping over the PTO is never a good idea and can cause some caught in hazards. So we want to make sure that it's properly guarded with an improved cover. Rollovers are also a huge issue. We see that a lot. Making sure that you engage your rollover protective structure or the ROPS. That's one of the main methods operators can use to protect themselves. When they're engaged, make sure you're wearing your seatbelt. That really kind of provides that all-encompassing life-saving protection when you're mowing near any slopes or embankments. Also, it is important to make sure that when you're on flat, even terrain with a potential overhead hazard, such as a tree branch or low-hanging overhead wire, you drop those ROPS down so that they don't get entangled or cause a struck-by injury. But the key thing is once you're past that, making sure that you put those ROPS back up, secure them in place, and then click back in your seatbelt.
Most important question. You particularly, do you mow in straight lines? Do you zigzag and make it look like Augusta National? What's your strategy as far as the most beautiful yard?
The most beautiful yard. It's the yard that I can get done in the time that I'm allotted to do the work. I got 2 kids at home, and a wife, and and we're, it's great to get outside, but I want to get back with the family. So as long as it's cut and the dog debris is cleaned up before I engage in that mowing, that's a key thing. But take the time to do it right. Take the time to inspect your equipment, and we can all hope and strive for that Augusta National green space out
Yeah.
there.
What I'm hearing is I have too much time on my hands now that my kids are grown that I'm taking that much time on the mower. But Ryan Towns, Assistant Director of Public Employment Risk Reduction Program with the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Great to visit with you. Thank you so much for the insights. Appreciate the time.
Awesome, Ty. Thanks again for having me on. And, if anybody out there ever has any other workplace safety information that they want to ask us, feel free to contact us for free safety consultative services, 1-800-644-6292, or check out our website at bwc.ohio.gov and search for safety consultation. A ton of great information out there. We just want you guys to be safe. Have a great growing season. Have a great year. And thanks again, Ty. Great to see you.
Who feeds your need for new ideas for your family's best farm future? Ohio Farm Bureau. We work with our members to shape ag policy that will positively impact our industry. Farm Bureau is advancing business solutions to give you a competitive advantage. We help you gather information to stay ahead of important topics and technologies. Plus, Ohio Farm Bureau creates opportunities for growth. Ohio Farm Bureau, feeding your need for new ideas.
Find out how Nationwide Agribusiness can help you grow your business. Get to know the people with the experience and knowledge to help you. Whether you are looking to protect your farm or ranch from the ground up, or need someone who understands your changing commercial ag needs. Find out how to better manage the risks of your ag business, or how quickly you can get back to business. Learn how you can protect your next with Nationwide on your side.
Welcome back to the Ohio Farm Bureau podcast. I'm Ty Higgins. As things green up across Ohio, so are the bottom lines of Ag Credit farmer members. The 2024 patronage checks have been dispersed for the 2024 year, totaling $22 million. To talk more about those funds, how they're created, and what they might be used for, we bring in Phil Young with Ag Credit, their Senior Account Officer. Phil, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Ty. Thanks for having me.
So this has been now 37 consecutive years for your patronage program. Just how much funding has been distributed over those 37 years?
Yeah, it's been pretty great. Yeah, like I said, 37 years, consecutive years. We've never not done it, and so that's what I always stress to borrowers. When they sign up for a loan or become a member, is we've got a great track record of doing patronage. But yeah, all in total, it's around $444 billion that we've dispersed back to our member borrowers across 37 years. So a large number, yeah, with a B, billion. Yeah.
That word consecutive is impressive too, because
Yep.
some years, as you know, are better than others. And so you have to show a profit in order to get funds back out to your farmer members. So for 37 consecutive years to do that is pretty impressive. I mentioned $22 million returned this year. How are those funds generated throughout the year in order to be able to give those back to your farmer members?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, and I think for listeners maybe aren't familiar with Ag Credit or just the co-op system, Farm Credit. Yeah, so Ag Credit is a part of the Farm Credit system. So the Farm Credit system was established back in 1916, so way back over 100 years ago. The big purpose of that was, when it was created, was we needed a reliable source of credit for farmers and ranchers. There just wasn't a place where farmers could go to say, hey, I need a loan for this. And maybe not get denied, or just the inconsistency of finding credit somewhere to buy land, buy inputs. And so the farm credit system was established in 1916, and it's morphed and changed names kind of over the years. But now Ag Credit is a part of that. There's associations across the United States that are a part of this. So you'll see all of us have a very similar logo. It's that green BioStar leaf. That's kind of the telltale sign that we're in the farm credit system. But Ag Credit is a part of that. And so we are specifically in Northwest, North Central Ohio is kind of where Ag Credit's territory is. Ag Credit has about 7,000 members, and we cover about 18 counties as kind of our part of this. But so the farm credit system, it's a cooperative model. So all of our borrowers become members and essentially become owners, is kind of what it is. So they are part owners of the cooperative, and because of that, we use kind of this fancy term called patronage. And another way to think of it is kind of a dividend. So once you take a loan out with ag credit, you become part owner and you get to share in the profits of the cooperative. So that's kind of pretty great. So that's kind of the model. It's a co-op model. So every year, obviously, ag credit does loans to borrowers. We're lending for real estate, homes, equipment, operating lines of credit. And obviously there's interest attached to that. And so that's obviously the income generator to kind of keep the co-op alive and kind of keep the co-op going, as well as for us to be able to generate income to borrow in the future. So if you want something else 5 years from now, that income's there. But after all of our expenses are paid, and we have kind of that net income, we're able to disperse funds back to borrowers. And so that's where it kind of pays to be a borrower of ag credit, as we're able to disperse those funds back. And so that's where that $22 million figure comes from this year, is we're able to say, hey, we did well this year. We've done well for 37 consecutive years. We're going to give some of this back to you, and help share in our profits.
As you and I talk, it's Ag Credit Patronage Day. So those checks are
Yeah.
on the counter waiting for your farmer members to come and collect them. As you talk to those members and they get these checks and take them back to the farm, what are some of the uses you hear about putting these funds maybe back into the farm or doing something fun, or maybe putting it back into the community?
Yeah, the great thing is, the question we get a lot from new borrowers is, hey, I get this patronage check. I assume it has to stay at ag credit. And the answer is no, it doesn't. It's your money. You get to do what you want with it. So you're right. I get a lot of excited people when they get that check. For number one, they can either put it back on their loan here. You're always welcome to do that. If you want to dump it on principal of your loan to reduce your debt, you can do that. We have borrowers that will be like, hey, I'm going on vacation this year and this patronage check is helping with that. I get a lot of spouses that get excited because they want to do that kitchen remodel. And they're like, I think we could do that kitchen remodel now. Home improvements. There's a lot of people that, obviously, a lot of our ag community loves to give back to the community itself. So I hear people say they're going to give towards their local FFA, or they're going to contribute to a local foundation. And so there's ways that borrowers can obviously dump that back into their own operation with equipment purchases and supplies. And obviously inflation is the thing this year, a big part of what we're at. So dumping that, helping the bottom line and helping borrowers get some money back is just a great way to help out. So they can use that for whatever they want. That's the great thing.
Speaking of giving back, it's something that Ag Credit does on a large scale with your mission fund. Can you tell us about that project and the categories it involves, and some of the ways people can sign up and try to get these grants?
Yeah, Ag Credit is passionate about our community. So we want to give back. Agriculture is very community focused industry, and so are we. And so we have a grant application or grant program called Mission Fund. And the application for that is open right now. The deadline for it, I believe, is July 31st. Is what that deadline is. You can go to our website to fill out an application. But it is it's a program where grants are eligible for local communities, for foundations, for schools, for fire departments, whatever it is. But grants are typically up to $15,000 is kind of the max amount you can get. But it's a way for Ag Credit to pour back in the community. But the big focus areas for us are education. So we want to make sure that if you're a part of education, the purpose is for education, that you're using it maybe to educate young, beginning, future ranchers or farmers. The environment, so maintaining or improving the quality of our rural environment. Technology, supporting the advancement and utilization of technology for the benefit of rural farmers or rural cooperatives. And then just quality of real life. So programs, projects, or initiatives that enhance the quality of life for farmers and rural communities. So those are the big kind of focus areas. If you, for some reason, fall maybe out of that category, still apply. We'll love to look at applications and look and see maybe it's something completely new that we've never even thought of that the funds could be used for. So, but I had the pleasure of sitting on that committee for the last 2 years. And so every year we get a little bit more applications, and it's a blast to go through those applications and see kind of the passion of rural community. Number one, it's a lot of great organizations that are wanting to give back anyway, right? They're selfless people that are trying to do better, trying to improve the community they're in, and we just get to be maybe a small part of that, and that's just always great. Yeah.
You can find out more about that mission fund and about Ag Credit's patronage program on their website. It's agcredit.net, agcredit.net. Phil Young joining us on the podcast this week, Senior Account Officer with Ag Credit. Appreciate your visit and your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. Yeah, pleasure being here.